Welcome to today's episode, the podcast where we discuss the most recent installment of a different series every show. It is Tuesday, February 10th, the same day that Jon Stewart came out and said, I am done with The Daily Show. It's also the same day that Kanye came out with the College Dropout.
Okay, so you're going back because the College Dropout was 2006.
Yeah, I can keep going.
And
It's the same day that the Major League hired its youngest manager in 1927. At the time, it was the youngest manager. He was a player coach and he was in his 20s. And so he played on the teams that he was also managing. And then that he officially retired in 31. And then he went to the Yankees in the 40s and won a few world titles with them.
That is the strangest
for the World
story.
Series. Yeah, it's not that strange. I mean, that was baseball back in the day. Just like football today is the Seahawks completely rolling over, steaming over the Patriots.
29-13.
That was a crazy commercial. What'd you think of the commercials?
I thought, well, my favorite ones were the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with like Ted Danson and Ben Affleck. There was a lot of AI commercials. And then probably my other favorite one was the Jurassic Park one. February 10th is also Laura Dern's birthday. So I find the timing of that to be kind of coincidental. But I think those were my two favorite. What about you?
Yeah, no, it was both cool to see them because I actually think with the Dunkin' Donuts one, the actual actors were there. They did AI their faces to look a little bit younger or at least do some CGI or maybe crazy makeup. For the Jurassic Park one, though, that one was kind of creepy. That was where it would almost hit Uncanny Valley, where it was like, I know you didn't actually say this. I know you didn't actually move that way. And at least they were intersplicing it with real footage of Jurassic Park. But yeah, I can imagine a few years down the line where 90% of the commercials, the actors didn't even go to do. What'd you think of the Clydesdale one or the one with the bald eagle popping
The
out?
bald eagle going off of the horse's shoulders. I like that one. Because it reminded me of the old ones that they used to do. I know that they stopped for a while, the Budweiser commercials.
They just stopped making beer in general.
Well, no, they stopped making the horse commercials with the dogs, and so I always enjoy it when they bring it back.
Yeah. So did you like how they brought back the Burbs?
Well, the Burbs I never really heard about up until about 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I made you watch the movie.
Yeah, because the Tom Hanks film, I would give a 6 out of 10 to. It was really dumb, but I did find parts of it endearing.
It's turned into a cult classic. It's like Beetlejuice at this point. It's a staple of that time before the internet infringed on, everything, before social media, just a more innocent atmosphere. At the same time, probably a little bit more racist. If that's the message they're kind of sending now, is as much as we want to paint over things and make it seem like people's problems were just being mistrustful of their neighbors, they were also kind of avoiding the rest of the world.
Right, and that's obviously why they cast, I think, Keke Palmer in that role. And I like Keke Palmer. I think that she's been, especially in recent years, she's kind of had an uptick in work, and I think that she was the best thing in things like Nope. I really like the movie One of Them Days, and I know that she was one of the stars of that as well. I still remember her from all the way back in, True Jackson VP days back in, 2008 on Nickelodeon.
I mean, was that before or after Akilah and the Bee? Because that was her.
Akilah and the Bee?
That was her first role, where she was the spelling star of as a 13-year-old.
I think I saw that film.
Yeah, no, parents went nuts for that. I remember them renting it and making me watch it as a kid and being like, that should be you. You should be going in and acing all your scores just like her. No, yeah, so she started off as a child actor, made that jump, and she's everywhere now. It was also strange to see the guy from After Party season 2. It's funny because I had heard of him even before that, but I didn't realize it was this British dude who starred in all the Bad Education series. We were going to do that podcast at one point because they did a movie and then they brought back the show. He went from 2012 to 2014 and then 2022 to 2024. And yeah, Bad Education is a super popular show about a dysfunctional secondary school where he played a teacher. And so him being in this as the husband was a little odd because this is supposed to be a very American city, the most safest of American cities. And yet from the very beginning, he has this really strong London accent.
I also enjoyed seeing Mark Proksch in the show, Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows. He always delivers great deadpan.
He is one of the quirky neighbors.
And I had no idea that he was going to be in it. So when he popped up on screen, I just automatically started laughing. This is the third Tom Hanks film turned to TV, though, right? Because the first one was Turner and Hooch, and then they did A League of Their Own twice. They even did that 90s version, and then The Burbs now. So this is the third one. And so my question is this just something that NBC does now whenever during the Olympics they're just going to release a TV series that they heavily promote? Because I remember back in 2024, it was Mr. Throwback that they were doing, and now it's this.
You're
So,
saying that at the timing with the Olympics
yes.
specifically. Well, I think right now, because of the Super Bowl, Olympics, they're just throwing out as much as they possibly can. They've gotten rid of the free promo trials completely
Right.
for this. I'm assuming it's going to come back at some point, but like they were like for the next couple months, we don't need them. We know people are going to gravitate.
Because Fuzzy Door Productions, which is also producing this, like, next month, season 2 of Ted is coming out as well.
Right. And we're going to talk about that a little
Oh,
bit, but let's first talk about this pilot episode, the one that we watched, The Goddamn Brownies is the name of it. It's like 40 minutes long, right? And let's just before we get into like the details and stuff, get to the root of what this story is. Let's talk about Rob and Samira's journey. Samira, most importantly, Keke Palmer, they're a brand new couple, right?
right.
They're interracial.
New parents.
They have this new kid, and obviously they're on high alert for anything weird going on, for just the way that people are going to act around them. And it's just given from the very start that Rob really wants to be here because it's his childhood home.
Hinkley Hills.
He's apologizing for the fact that they have to go there, but he's also trying to like boost it up as like this great place.
And they had to move so fast. That
Right.
was the thing.
So zooming through, what happens in the first episode is that you have Samira integrating herself with the rest of the quirky neighbors.
Right, and it's mostly 3 other people. It's Lynn, who was a neighbor and is a widow, Dana, who was a neighbor, and then Todd, who was a strange neighbor again, that was Colin Robinson.
I feel like there's
Mark
actually
Proksch.
many more neighbors that
Right, but those are the
we're
main
not
3.
getting into the details yet. We will get to them, I promise.
Okay.
So she finds herself in the midst of all these crazy people, some a little bit more racist than others, and then she stares at this house across the street.
It's a Victorian style house,
It's
though.
the it house, it's the monster house from anything, and she immediately becomes paranoid. Now, there's no one living in that house currently. It is an empty house. Apparently, someone was murdered in it 20 years earlier,
Allison, I think it was a girl, right?
which her husband knew about but decided not to tell her.
Didn't say anything about it.
Right. And so she originally, and the rest of the neighborhood, for their points of view, also get curious when the house goes on sale right then and there. They all go in to take the tour. It's a creepy dude who's
Open
leading
house,
the tour,
yep.
and they see what's inside. And then by the end of the episode, the house has been bought by someone who seems a little creepy and nefarious because we don't see them, and we also know that they called the police on Samira. Are we sure it's Samira? Because
Yeah,
the
it's
more
Samira.
no, it's funny because like I think of this kind of like Ready or Not, where she's being integrated into the into that family, and then she finds out they're all evil, and that's played by Samira Weaving. So
yeah.
that's where I'm making the connection.
I felt like it was more like them or Only Murders in the Building.
Oh no, I'm not comparing the two shows yet, but I also agree with you. It definitely is like them specifically for the racism element.
Right, and the person that bought the house we don't see because we know that he's a doctor. We know that he's doing strange things like moving in the middle of the night.
We definitely see his name.
Yes, I forgot what his name
Justin
was.
Kirk.
Justin Kirk is the person who's going to be playing him?
Yes. And so let's take a little quiet avenue over. If you think about suburban television,
Uh-huh.
to me, it feels like it hit its peak in the early 2000s when you had Desperate
I was going to
Housewives
say Desperate
and
Housewives.
Weeds. And it felt like Agrestic and Wisteria Lane or whatever they called it. And then a bunch of CW shows. It felt like in the middle of like the heartland, they had like a bunch of suburban type shows there too. But like, it's funny because you kind of have different elements of each of those shows in this one. What do I mean by that? Justin Kirk played Andy in Weeds, right?
Right, the
So when he
uncle.
shows up, and he's played evil before, we've seen him in Succession.
I mean, yeah, he was literally practically a Nazi in Succession, right? And then he won the presidential
Hard
race.
right. He's
Yes.
a hard conservative and kind of crazy with his viewpoints. But like as it's going to be weird seeing him played a suburban evil.
I'm glad he was cast though. I didn't know that he was going to be in the show.
Right. They did credit him. And I think he's shown for like a split second when the butler who is like showing them around, the real estate agent is showing everybody around the house. Then we see him in like one frame in the background
Right.
as he's coming in to like buy the house.
I think they might have also showed him when he was doing the U-Haul thing and also the final shot where we see like a face inside that window looking back at them.
That's true.
So,
Yes.
And
Um,
I know that I think I agree with you in terms of, like, the early 2000s, but, like, some other suburban shows I had, which were a little later, was, like, Santa Clarita Diet, which obviously had the zombie shtick to it, but then also, like, The Hunting Wives, and then I had Weeds Here, so
yeah. So when I said they'd incorporated other elements, though, I specifically meant the actual suburbs that they're using here, because this is the Universal Studios. It's got a specific name for it. Let me just take a quick Colonial Street.
Colonial
Same
Street.
street as Desperate Housewives. Same
Oh.
street as, wouldn't you know it, the Munsters, which they actually make the joke at in the show when they're like, "Oh, you go to the Munster house now."
Mhm.
So there, it's both canon and it's also in that universe as well. What's not like suspiciously in that universe is the original Burbs,
Right.
because we see that there's a version of Tom Hanks who plays Mr. Hickley, right?
Yeah, yeah, the person that founded Hinkley Hills. That was honestly, even though it was retconning it, because I was like, "What happened to Ray Peterson?" Literally the main character of the 1989
Right.
film. That was so funny just seeing Tom Hanks' face. They didn't even try to change it a little bit.
They tried to give you some background on the house
Yeah.
itself, the monster house, why it would be haunted. And so he was the original owner and he also founded the town.
Yeah, and
So
there was some shameless references to Tom Hanks as well. Like Ray says to Samira at one point, just randomly in the conversation, "You're doing that thing you do," which obviously is the Tom
good
Hanks
catch.
film that he did.
One of the interviews that I read, I know that they tried to put in a heck of a lot of references to the show. We can get into some of them. I mean, like, there's the trash can guy again. They made the focus of that.
The first shot shows the entire world as it zooms into the suburbs, exactly like the movie.
You had, I think, like, the dynamic between the friends was supposed to be like, almost carbon copy, like, the one lady was supposed to be the best friend in that. Let's talk a little bit about the original Burbs. So, you've got this guy named Ray, right?
Ray Peterson, yep.
And he's got his vacation, but he doesn't wanna leave his house.
He's a homebody.
I think that he just is lazy,
Okay.
and he's tired of raising his kid, and he's just like, "Alright, well, who played his wife again in that?" And it was, like, Carole King or something like that.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fi
So
Oh, it's Carrie Fisher, yeah, no, the lady from, Star Wars.
yes,
So, yeah, so Carrie Fisher's his wife, and for some reason, he doesn't wanna hang out with her, and he's like, "I'm just gonna stay at home," but then he starts getting suspicious again of the house across the street.
he's
So
hearing
so
things.
that part is completely the same. It's just that paranoia. However, in the show, it feels like, Keke Palmer's character is the one who's leading the charge.
Yeah, right.
While in like, everybody is interested in that house, but she's the one who's like, "I'm gonna put the
We're
brownies
gonna
outside."
devise a plan. Yeah.
And they do use brownies in the movie too, right? Doesn't they try to drop something off, but they actually, like, knock on the door when they give it to the kid, the creepy kid in the other one?
Oh, yeah, 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 I forgot
Yeah,
about that scene.
so we still have that, so the baking part of it. I guess part of my reason for kind of pushing back on the show more than the movie is the movie got things done in a quick pace.
Right.
By 40 minutes in, I feel like they had also delivered those brownies and they might have gotten inside and they would have seen what was up. But in the show, it was like she was afraid to even step foot on the grounds, and that we saw him get past in, like, I don't know, 20 minutes in.
I agree with you. There were things that I liked a lot about the TV show, but one of my biggest problems with it, and I could have probably predicted this was the case even before I watched it, was that they were going to have to, especially for 8 episodes, I think it is, drag out so much of what they were able to get done so fast in the movie.
They also, it felt like we're throwing it, like, stick with the suburbs. If you're gonna be
Right.
called the Burbs, I don't wanna see full out conversations on a phone with your brother from,
Right.
like, the
I didn't
city.
understand why was his name Langston? I think it was something like that. I didn't
I
understand why
don't
they
care. I
introduced him.
realized in that scene that I have never watched in the last 10 years a good phone scene where the main character in a TV show calls someone up and it's just like serious drama that I need to pay attention to, or even comedy. Like, it's never good.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it and stick with the conversations with the
Because
neighbors.
I can guarantee you that that storyline, whatever it turns into, because they probably introduced it for a reason, is not going to be nearly as interesting as what's happening with Justin Kirk, right, in the house.
Right. In
Yeah,
the original Burbs, the guy never shows him having the pizza phone call. He just keeps on saying the pizza guy's on the way.
right.
The other thing that, like you said that you like the show, right?
I would give it a passing grade.
For me, I felt like this is supposed to be funny, right?
Right.
Like, it's produced by Fuzzy Door, which is Seth MacFarlane's show company,
Mm.
and it makes Ted, like you were talking about, and the quirky neighbors, maybe with I I'll give the Girl Scout and I'll give, Mark Proksch, Todd,
Yeah.
a little bit of a pass, but, like, overall, I did not find the show funny in the slightest.
No, and I think that that was honestly one of my problems with the show too, is that if it's going to be a horror comedy, as I said with The Burbs, that's just a bananas film. Like, it goes off the rails so fast. And here it seems like they're trying to like
Play it
do,
cutesy and do
yeah,
both.
and ground it in reality, and I just don't feel like that it should
They
have
need
that.
to bring in Sam Raimi. They need to bring in some goofy, like, actual effects. I knew the second that she tried to put her foot on the ground, and all it did was make the sound effect for a little bit of a wind movement,
Right.
that we were in trouble because that's where something funny was supposed to happen. Like a huge gust of wind, like pushes her 10 feet back or something. That's the Burbs that people are used to seeing, not her kind of being like, oh man, no, I'm not going in there. And then just turning around and walking away. That was, again, very boring, I
I
think,
think
of
the
her.
characters, aside from, I know I already mentioned him, but Mark Proksch, Todd, and Keke Palmer, I felt like every single character was just someone that we've seen before. Even Rob, he's just the husband that like is kind of always in the background. The two neighbors, I don't really know the difference between the two of them. I know one's a Marine vet, which I think is a callback to the film, and then one is just a widow. Like I don't see really any difference or compelling characters in the show.
Is trying to be too serious. You even Naveen, who is supposed to be comic relief, is playing a more grounded, serious character than the neighbor, best friend of the husband in the other one,
Right.
right? So so I don't know what to think. There's no, like, this would have begged for the opportunity to just go ham, just the woman in the house across from the street from the girl in the window.
I
Or
I do think that, yeah, the premise allows the show to go as crazy as it can, and I just think that they're playing it too safe, at least from what the pilot
or to
shows.
take it a different direction, because I don't want to harangue on the same point over and over again. They could have gone the why women kill route, where it is comedy, but also like they're smart with it, They're putting in twists and stuff. Search Party did that, where it's like a surreal, absurd element that really made you think at the same time as it was really funny at others. But that's not what this is too simple for that. This show is the type of show where it's like the first 2 minutes air and I'm like, "Cut this." You do not need to have them walking down the suburb street talking about their marriage to give us exposition. Start with a song.
I thought these were going to be 20 to 30-minute episodes. I was disappointed to see that they were 40 minutes. At
Okay.
least that the pilot is. But I do like parts
I
of it,
mean,
like
Wonder Man had the same thing, but that was good 40 minutes, wasn't it?
yeah, and again, I gave that a positive review. I did like the sets in the show. I like the way that the evil house
The
looks.
Victorian house looks
Right.
cool, but it also looks exactly like What We Do in the Shadows. It's like Mark Proksch brought the house with him to show off to everybody
I
else.
thought that it looked straight out of a cartoon whenever they show the evil person's lair. The fact that it's purple and there's this like beautiful neighborhood and then just like that incredibly old house. I did laugh at that.
You could think of it as Monster House, you could think of it as
Yes, yeah,
the
right.
house from It, where the kids keep on running up to that one, and it had Davy inside of it. There's one more that was just on the tip of my tongue, oh, the one from Jumanji, where the guy had gotten stuck in the game, and then the
Oh, you're talking
house
about
had the Hanks.
yeah,
Well, it
yeah.
was a Hanks as
Yeah, it was
well.
Colin
It
Hanks,
was
I think.
Colin Hanks got stuck in the game, and his house went all decrepit and old and broke apart. But then in the future version, like, they fixed it up, and again, that's how it looked.
I did think that the cliffhanger also, even though it's just following the movie, was creepy when we saw like the quick shot of the face. I thought that that was a good way to end the TV series, but I agree with you. The tone, it just gets in the way. I think it should have just moved way quicker, and that I'm going to give the show a 6 out of 10 because I do think there's enough good stuff in it, but I don't have a lot of like optimism that the show's going to get better.
I will say that the, girl, when the little girl,
The Girl Scout?
Girl Scout who's like 13, 14 years old, who runs up and then she turns out to be a notary public, that did make me laugh because that's insane. I think you have to be 18 to be a notary public, so that was cool. I also liked, yeah, when she was I think the show did good when all the neighbors were in the monster house, and every single one of them was in a different room doing something
Right, yeah,
different.
'cause, it was
That
Todd that was at the top, right?
Right. That wasn't a phone call, that was actually stuff moving along with the plot, and I was very curious what they were going to find at that
Yeah,
moment.
when Keke Palmer was going through all the rooms and then she checks the closet and it said Allison, the mystery part of it, I'm like, "Yeah, why is that on the wall?" Like, I need to know, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they use the same name as the girl from Pretty Little Liars, I think, the Allison is A
A?
in that,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if she turned out to be alive in some version or another, and then, what else? I think the direction is at fault a bit. So the person who directed this actually directed a lot of episodes of Maid, so, like, they know how to do good directing, but they also did Tall Girl, which, if you remember,
Oh,
was that Netflix
that
show
Netflix show,
that
yeah.
was really bad. And then as for the writer of the first episode, you have, Celeste Huey, who also created the show. She wrote for Keke Palmer in mind
No, for Samira?
for Samira's character, and it just felt like, though, when you got down to the end of the episode, you literally had a kumbaya moment where all the neighbors she'd met throughout the entire course of the episode came to her door after she'd had the police called to her. Now, where they were before the police got called out, and I had to go back, I'm sorry, in that scene because it was so weird that her husband left with the baby to
Right.
calm the baby down. Now, I do know parents sometimes do that. Like sometimes a baby needs a car ride around the block in order to like calm it, but that was their first recourse. The second that they heard it woke up was like, I'm taking the baby and I'm getting out of here. And the only reason they did that was so that she could lock herself out, so that the police could stop by for 2 seconds, get mad at her. The husband stops by, they recognize
They
the husband,
recognize
they
the
go
husband and they
away.
leave, yeah.
And then all the neighbors can stop by and say, hey, we're so sorry that happened. Felt a little forced. But then she gets all freaked out, but still wants to stay because she wants to find out what the mystery is. Now we know the husband's lying about not knowing what happened to Allison. We know that the librarian is probably going to have to fork up
In
whatever
on it, yeah.
file that she's hiding. It's shocking to me still that 20 years ago was 2005 because that's when they say that this guy grew up, and I'm just like,
March 15th, 2005 was the day that she went missing, I think.
but, like, I can actually visualize, like, 2005 really, really well, probably that date if I want to and just be like, "Oh, wow. Okay." No, it's just weird how the 2000s are now. Yeah, I just wish it was funnier. I wish they had taken more of the '80s vibe, the Ghostbusters, the Burbs, the Beetlejuice, like, realized, like, that's what you should be cashing in on.
Do you think anyone from the movie is going to show up in the show?
I know they will, but I'm not gonna
Oh,
spoil who. Alright, thanks for listening, we'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
bye.